Are you tired of feeling like negativity just keeps showing up in your life? What if I told you there is one shift that can change absolutely everything? My name is Peter Abundant, aka Dr. Abundant, PhD, and ordained minister of metaphysical sciences. I'm the author of The Enlightened Shadow and Spiritual, Not Religious, both available on Amazon and Audible. Now, the reason why negativity keeps showing up, it's not because you're doing something wrong. First off, when it comes to negativity, we all tend to experience it. So when we all tend to experience something, that isn't really because it is something directly focused toward you, right? It isn't directly punishing you or targeting you, right? If it's something that we're all experiencing generally, then that means that there is a grander, better way to look at it. Like there is a reason for it happening. It's like my understanding of the ego. Some people want to get rid of the ego, but we all have an ego. So therefore, having an ego is normal. Even our most enlightened teachers, right, have egos. And so when we think about that, the same way we apply it to negativity, right, which can also be looked at as a byproduct or a symptom of the ego, then we recognize that, okay, there is some benefit to it. Now, the trick is finding out what the benefit is. Why? Why are we experiencing this thing called negativity? First off, I want you to understand that when you experience negativity, it's not because you're cursed, right? Or it's not because you're necessarily doing something wrong, okay? Because I want you to step away from guilt and shame as we approach this topic of negativity, because a lot of people, they feel like all the negativity that they experience and see and witness is a byproduct of them. They believe that it's their fault. And I want you to know that it is not your fault. Okay. Though on the spiritual journey, it's really about taking responsibility over our lives, taking accountability over the fact that we are the creators of our reality. And that can be a hard thing for people to accept. But once you accept it, trust me when I tell you, it is something that's going to actually free you up from all of the negativity, okay? All of the suffering. So recognize that negativity, it keeps showing up because, simply put, it's asking for your attention, right? It's like the symptoms of a disease, the symptoms of, when you hurt yourself, you feel constant pain because it is telling you something is wrong. Okay. So when you think about negativity, that's essentially what it is. It's almost like a feedback mechanism. It is trying to tell you something. Now, what is it trying to tell you? That's the trick, right? So everything is connected, and it's all connected to your growth. It's all connected to your purpose. It's all connected to your happiness. And if you choose to see it that way, then it becomes something that becomes apparent. But with negativity, we don't usually choose to see it that way. What we usually do is we try to ignore it. We try to not see it. When we try to not see it, the signs of something that may be pointing you or trying to show you something, guess what? By nature of our consciousness, right, our higher mind, the spiritual aspect of ourselves, because this is tied to our fundamental purpose and nature, it's not going to stop. It's going to keep trying to communicate to you, and it's going to get louder and louder and louder. And if we are continuously categorizing this thing as negativity without listening, then we actually, continue to perpetuate this thing yelling at us constantly over and over and over again. So we have to address it in order to make the shift, right? And this shift changes everything. Here's the mindset shift. Nothing is happening to you. Everything is happening for you. Okay? And it's happening from you, by you, to you, as you. So when you think about the nature of the dynamic that you may have about reality and the layers of it and the separations of it, right? You, me, the universe, the sky, the person across the street. All these things may be identified as separate things, but they're actually one thing. They're all manifestations. They are all interpretations, perspectives of self. So when we think about negativity, therefore, we must look at it as a reflection of self. Now, again, this is not about shame. This is not about guilt. This is not about taking on the assumption that you did something wrong. This is simply recognizing that the negativity is really trying to direct you toward the right path, right? So it's not about saying, oh, you did something wrong, like you're wrong, you're a bad person. This is just simply saying that everything is guiding you in the right direction. You just simply have to learn how to pay attention to it. Even the things that feel negative are guiding you back to alignment with your higher self. That's all it is. So you have to just really start asking, what is this trying to show me about myself, my power, and my direction, the path that I'm on? And when you take a real look at what's happening, then you understand that, oh, okay, this is really about me making a shift, either healing past trauma, past wounds, shifting limiting belief systems, changing my relationships and my dynamics with relationships, changing my understanding with money and finances, changing how I think about love and romance. You see, whatever it is that's going on for you, you identify it because it is something that is customized for you. Just like your purpose and why you are here is a custom experience for you. The negativity that you're experiencing is also customized to you. And so something that you may deem negative, I may see as a plus. I may see as a positive, right? But I am built different. The negativity that you're experiencing is unique to you because it addresses pain points or places where there is a misalignment, things that you need to correct in order to bring yourself on the right trajectory when it comes to the life that you desire. That's all it is. And so when you begin to start looking at how to address negativity, you really have to understand that you begin to reframe it, right? You begin to reframe negativity into purpose, because essentially that's what is guiding you toward. A lot of times when we are experiencing something negative, it is a byproduct of something that we didn't know. Okay. It is a byproduct of something that maybe you did out of ignorance, out of just being immature, not being wise. And so the impact or the result of that past action can manifest itself now in a way that to you seems negative. Why? One, because you have evolved past or above that frequency or vibration of the person you once were, right? But because this physical realm is measured in time, those things come and catch up over the course of time. And many times they catch up when you are at a different place. That's why they appear negative. But now you have to ascend even to a higher place of recognizing, okay, this is something that happened or I created from a past self, right? Even if it was last week or a month ago. And so you acknowledge it. You see it as a benefit because now you recognize that that past self was not a self that was aligned with your truth, right? It wasn't a self that wasn't aligned with what you desire. And so now that you're dealing with the results of that, you have to acknowledge, okay, you have ascended because now you identify that this thing that you are experiencing is not at the same frequency or vibration as where you are now. So yes, applaud yourself for that. That is great. Then you take that insight and you go deeper into it. You go deeper into it as far as investigating why'd you do that in the first place if you had not already. So that way you don't continue to repeat and go back and forth, like a pendulum, just keep going back and forth. You want to be at a point where you hit a peak, you recognize the results of that other space, all right, that previous self, and then you say, okay, let's ascend. Let's go to another space, right? another stratosphere of existence, another plane of existence that is at a higher frequency, another reality where you are more aligned with your ultimate truth, you know? So you recognize that every challenge is actually a chance to step closer into your purpose, because the more you elevate your frequency, the more you are aligned with being the person being the person necessary to actually manifest your purpose. You see, every delay, every problem is helping you to redirect and realign. That is how you begin to reframe what we think and what we call negativity as actually lessons, as actually challenges that are giving you the chance to see where you are and how you have evolved, from the past self. So when you choose to see the connection, you unlock peace, okay? You unlock faith, most certainly clarity, and most importantly, power. The power to recognize that the universe is for you. Everything is for you. Why? Because everything is you. You and everything else is one. And so when you recognize that, yeah, you can see it from a very egotistical point of view as seeing separations or layers of things, but that's just simply what they are. They're just layers of self. But ultimately, from the consciousness perspective, it is all one. And so when you begin to reframe negativity, you start to make the shift in that direction of understanding that oneness, of living that oneness. Okay. So some daily practices to keep you in the space, right? So that way you stay in this shift. Simple things: pause, breathe, especially when you feel this quote unquote negativity, right? And I want you to do that from now on. Whenever you feel it, quote unquote negativity, right? Because it's really not negative. It's just an opportunity for you to shift. Sometimes you may not be in the mood to shift, but always remember that even when you're not in the mood, when you acknowledge the shift that is taking place, when you acknowledge the signs or the result, remember that when you address the shift, when you accept it, receive it, you will ascend beyond having that experience again. So be frustrated, be annoyed, right? But also be productive, be proactive, be wise and mindful about what's happening here. And if you do not want it to happen again, address it. Okay. Now then ask yourself, what's the message here? What's the message here for my purpose or for my happiness? When you ask that question, your subconscious, your unconscious will begin to dive deep into revealing the answer to you. It will begin to make a connection or a bridge to your superconscious, which is your higher mind, which links to and can be considered the God mind, right? God consciousness. When those things start to communicate to one another, which they will do when you begin to ask very important questions like that, then the answers begin to reveal themselves to you, right? Either in your sleep, either when you're taking a long drive and you kind of, zoned out, when you're daydreaming, boom, it just happens. When you're journaling, it'll just happen. When you're meditating, when you're spending, intentional quiet time, alone time with yourself, that's when it happens. Okay. And all you have to do is just simply respond. Respond with trust, not fear. Okay. And this is because everything is helping you. Sometimes even when you get help, it's not comfortable, right? It's not something that you feel an extreme sense of pleasure in, but you know that at the end of the situation or the event or the problem, right? When you receive help from the universe, AKA yourself, you then can just ascend. You can then transform and absolutely increase your frequency to the point where that doesn't happen again. So accept the help from yourself, from the universe, from your higher self. And that's how you acknowledge and transform this idea of negativity. Negativity doesn't exist anymore. It is only simply lessons and is only simply nudges, right? It's really conversations happening between yourself and yourself as to how to get to the next level of life, how to ascend to a point where you recognize that these things that are based in ego mindset, ego mentality, right, doesn't align with your true self. So therefore, you can put the ego in its place, acknowledge that it is there, acknowledge its purpose, but most importantly, put it in its place so that way you can align with consciousness, be led by consciousness, and thus tap into who you truly are, right? Manifest that reality for yourself, be that, and thus create the purpose, manifest the things that you desire, and live a life fulfilled and happy. So don't get caught up in negativity, but especially don't invite negativity in your life that has no purpose, right? That has no real value, meaning, social media, TV, entertainment, conversations with random people who are just always in a negative space. That is all those individuals' issue. That is their spiritual journey. We honor it, but we don't have to take it on as our own. Because if we take on their issues as our own, there is nothing we can do about it. You see, you just absorb that negativity and then you cannot transform because that is not your negativity. Those are not your lessons to receive, to heal from. That is theirs. You will only transform negativity that pertains to you and ascend beyond this idea of negativity when you address it coming from you. So you have to be mindful about what it is that you're consuming. You have to curate a lifestyle where everything else outside of your physical body and your physical space is actually cultivating positivity, because that is going to help you also to address the negativity that you haven't healed from or dealt with. And once you do that, then you become just supernatural in the sense that you can literally do anything because there is no limitations. The limitations of our own minds comes from the place of fear that is triggered by negativity and how we perceive the world and the things around us. But when you recognize that you are the creator of those things around us and those things around you are in fact reflections of you, and you have a negative relationship with those things, with you, and you change that, reframe that, then things change. And that's the shift. Thank you so much. If you are ready to stop being stuck in negativity and start seeing everything as part of your power and purpose, please hit the like button, share this video, and in the comments below, put the word shift. Thank you so much. Feel free to go to drabundant.com, subscribe to my daily newsletter, get access to this free ebook, and so much more. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.